Hello guys, today we're going to study 2.8 distance and midpoint formulas circles. So here we have the distance formula. So d equal to square root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. Okay, let's take a look at example 1 using the distance formula to find the distance between these 2 points, -1, 4 and 3, -2. And then express the answer in simplified radical form and then round it to 2 decimal places. So we have x1, x2, we also have y1, y2. So let's go ahead to apply this formula right here. So all you have to do is right now just plug in the points, right? So we're going to have square root of x2, in this case is 3, and then we say subtract x1 is -1. This whole thing actually square, and then plus y2 is right there. Y2 is -2 and minus 4, and then this whole thing square. Okay, I just highlight this. Hopefully that color help you a little bit more. And then there's a whole thing that will be 3 minus -1. That's going to be 4 squared. That is 16, and here we have -2, -4, that's -6, -6 squared, that will be 36. Then square root of 52. So now we have to simplify it. I have a lot of students struggle to simplify this. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to simplify the radical form. So we have 52. So you know this is an even number, right? At least you're going to have a 2 in there. So then I'm going to use 52 divided by 2. That will be 26. And then I'm going to try again. Again, we have an even number. We'll have a 2. That will be 13. I look at 13. There's nothing in there. Okay, you can't factor anymore. You're going to leave it alone. So we're going to count this. We're going to have 1 pair. So that means you're going to write this way. So that means the 2 is outside and everything inside here, but just 13 left, that will be going here. All right. So that will be 2 square root of 13. So this is 13 actually goes under the square root. So that is how you simplify the radical form. Okay, so once you have this radical form and they want you to round it to 2 decimal. So in this case, you just plug this whole thing inside your calculator. So you're going to get 7.21. Okay, you're done with the question. So make sure you read your question carefully, because sometimes they ask you for decimal, sometimes they ask you for radical form. Read your question and then answer accordingly. Okay? Alright guys, this is your homework. I found many students struggle on this question, so let's take a look. So all I did is just copy down the formula. So now we're going to go ahead all we have to do is plug in the points. So once we have this, alright, we forgot the square. Okay? So now we're going to simplify. Negative square root of 5 minus 5 square root of 5 is just going to be same thing as -1 square root of 5 minus 5 square root of 5. That's just going to be -6 square root of 5 and the whole thing squared. So that's how you get the -6 square root of 5 come from. And then plus we have a 4 square root of 6 minus 1 square root of 6. That's just going to be 3 square root of 6. And again, this whole thing that will be square again. And then -6 square, okay, just going to be 36. 36 multiply square root of 5 square is just going to be 5. Again, you can plug this inside your calculator. That's totally fine, okay? So then here we're going to have 3 square, that will be 9. And then square root of 6. And then square, that will be multiplied 6. And then this whole thing, you're going to get square root of 234. So I'm going to look at 234. So I have an even number. I'm just going to break it down. Okay. So that will be 117. And then from here, so I'm going to try 2. Of course, it doesn't work. And then I'm going to try 3. So you're going to have 39. Okay. So here is a little bit trick if you want to learn. If I have a number, okay, let's say 117, I have to think, can I divide by 3? If you add those 3 numbers, alright, if this number can divide by 3, then this number must be able to divide by 3. Again, if that confuses you, just forget about it, alright? So then we have a 39, so we have another 3 in here, then we're going to have a 13. All I did is just factor out the prime numbers. And then once we have here, we said we see a pair, we're going to take them out. Okay, everything else stay inside the square root. So that will be 3, and then square root of this, that will be 2 multiplied 13, that will be 26. That will be 3 square root of 26. So that is your final answer for this case. Let's go ahead and work on the next question. The midpoint formula, we're going to have x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2, and then over 2. Let's go ahead and look at this example. So we have 2 points. Okay, I'm just going to label this as my x1, y1, x2, and then y2. I'm just going to do a substitution. So I'm going to have x1 just going to be 1, and then I have x2 is just going to be -8, and then over 2. And then we're going to also add y1, that's -6, and then y2 is -4, and then divide by 2. Then once we have this, we're just going to simplify this whole thing. That will be -7 over 2, and then here we're going to have -10 over 2, just going to be -5. So which means this is your midpoint. Okay, let's go ahead and work on the next type question. So here we have a standard form of the equation of a circle. So on the right side we have a graph. Okay, we always say our center right here is h and k, and then we have the radius is going to be r. Okay, this is our x and y points. So example 4, what we want you to do is write the standard form of the equation of a circle with the center -2, 3, and radius 4. Okay, so we said the circle is HK form. So then we also mentioned r is our radius. In this case, it's just going to be 4. So all you have to do is now you're just going to match what's h and what's k. So that's my h, and then this is my k. Okay, so then I'm going to write it down, the formulas. So I'm just going to plug it in, okay, by substitution. That means that will be x minus h. Again, the h is -2, and then whole thing squared, plus y minus k. Our k is 3, and then squared. Our r is 4, and then squared. Okay, again, that's just simplifying left. So that will be x plus 2, and then squared, plus y minus 3, the squared equal to 4 squared. So let's just simplify this. So 4 squared equal to 16. That is your answer. Example 5, using the standard form of a circle equation to graph the circle. So part A, find the center and the radius of the circle, whose equation is x minus 2, and then square, plus y plus 4, and square, and then equal to 9. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to zoom in this a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead to write the standard form of the equation of circle right below it. I'm just going to rewrite this. And then because here we have y plus 4, I'm going to rewrite this as y minus -4, and then whole thing squared. And then we have a 9, so I'm going to rewrite this as a 3 squared. Okay, then now we're going to match it. So I can say the center of the circle is h is 2 and -4, with the radius, which is r, equal to 3. And then the part B is we need to graph the equation. So it's just a circle, so I'm going to graph it on the right side. So that is my final answer for the graphing part. So I can go ahead and just say this. Alright, I'm going to graph this. So that is my r equals to 3. So part C, we want to use the graph to identify the relations domain and range. So from this graph, we can find the domain, because domain is just from the left and right. So on your Math Excel, it's very accurate. It's easy to see, right? So if you think that just from the -1 to 5, and then our range is going to be go up, down. So this lowest point is right here, okay? So again, on your Math Excel, that will be easy for you. That will be -7 to -1. Okay, you just look at the up, down. So that is how you look at the domain and range. Okay, the next is the general form of the equation of a circle. So we have this x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0, where our d, e, f are real numbers. Example 6, write in standard form and graph x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 23 equals 0. So here we're given to you guys, this is actually the general form, right? And then the question is, want you to write it in the standard form. Okay, what was the standard form? You should realize that just going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared. So that is our final goal. Okay, first we're going to review completing the square. So in the past you learned something like this, alright? X squared minus 6x plus 4 equals 0. So we have learned first we have to move our constant to another side. Then we're going to add, we have to add a b over 2 square both sides. In this case our b is negative 6. So I'm going to have negative 6 over 2. Alright, we have to add this both sides. So I'm going to highlight this b, where that come from. Okay, that is where that come from. So we have to add this. We mentioned if you add something on the left side, you must add something on the right side. So then once you have this, right away, you should have a square. You don't have to simplify this, then try to factor. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, so you actually right away, you're going to have a square. You're just going to write x minus, okay, whatever's inside this parenthesis. So whatever is inside this parenthesis, we're going to write it right here. Okay, that will be x plus negative 6 over 2. Remember that is the green, inside the green part. So that's the reason why we didn't simplify it. Okay, and then the right side, we're going to simplify this. That will be negative 4. So in this case, negative 6 over 2, that's just 3. And then 3 squared plus, that's just plus 9. Once we have this, we can simplify it. That will be x minus 3 and then squared equal to, that will be 5. And then once we have this, the rest of the stuff really is just algebra. Okay, so we're going to take this square root of both sides. So you're going to have something like this. You're going to have x equal to 3 plus minus square root of 5. Okay, so this is a review. So here we have our question. Our question is x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 23 equals 0. Let's go ahead and take a look. What you're going to do is we're going to rewrite it first. I'm going to rewrite as x squared plus 4x plus y squared minus 6y equal to 23. What I did is I put the x together, I put the y together, and then I'm moving the constant to the right side. Then we're going to actually completing this square for both group at the same time. So let's go ahead and look. X squared plus 4x, all I have to do is just add b over 2. So what is our b? B in this case is 4 over 2 and then squared. And then we're going to remember, if I add something on the left side, I also have to add something to the right side. So I'm just going to write this on the right side as well. So once we have this, we look at the second piece, we're going to have plus y squared minus 6y. So how I completing the square for this? That plus against the b over 2. In this case, the b is negative 6 over 2. And then I'm going to square this. So that means we're going to add b over 2 is negative 6 over 2. Okay, this is the whole thing equal to, remember 23 is there. We also have to add this piece, alright, negative 6 over 2, and then squared on the right side as well. Okay, so you have to think this a little bit, okay? If you struggle with this, what I want to do is just going to separate them. Thinking about you have to complete the square for this portion and completing the square for this part. So hopefully that helps you a little bit, okay? Remember, you are completing the square. just like you done before. All you have to do is right away you should have a square. That will be x. So whatever is inside this blue color, so I'm going to put it right here. The reason why we're doing this, not simplifying, because sometimes when you have negative numbers, it's really easy to mess up. That's the reason why we don't simplify first. And then here we have y squared minus 6y plus negative 6 over 2 squared. So I can rewrite this as y minus 6 over 2. For this, we're going to have, remember this is a y, okay, plus, this is inside the purple, it's just going to be negative 6 over 2, and then the whole thing squared, okay? On the right side, that will be 23 plus, that's 4, and then this is 9. So once we have this, rest is just simplifying. We're going to have x plus 2 squared and plus y minus 3 and then squared, and then that will be 27 plus 9, that will be 36. So which I can rewrite this 36 as r squared form, that's a 6 squared. And then now I'm going to go back, what was my standard form, I can write this right below it. Just easy for us to see. So we're going to match it. We're going to look, okay, what is my h? Remember the sign is different. I can actually rewrite this in this form, right? If I wanted to. So which means our h is negative 2. And then our y is 3, right? And our r is 6. So you know the center and the with the radius. Now you can graph your circle. Okay, so the graphing part is kind of easy. I'm just going to do it really quick. This type of question a little bit tricky, so maybe you need some practice. So the main part is go back to look. Okay, so first I give you a general form, so you have to do is rewrite it. You put the x together, y together, and then the constant to the right side, and then you have to treat it like you were dealing with completing the square. So you have to completing the square twice at the same time for x and y. Once you will have this, the rest of the stuff, you're just going to write it inside your standard form and then find your circle center with your radius. Okay, then you finish this question. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and keep up the great work. I'll see you guys next time.